Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the S&P Sports Show. I'm your host, Sean Stewart, and it is December the 8th, 2022. And if you notice, it is a lot more better than I did last week because I used a different browser. So thank you, Firefox. I could have used
Firefox?
Firefox.
Give it
So
up
my
for
co
Firefox.
right. And my co-host, Mr. Anthony Paulus. How are you doing, my friend?
Well, got back from Florida. A little bit different going from 18 to 82 back to 18, Your lungs are feeling it a little bit. So, other than that, doing good. Doing good. A little bit of a cold here, but we're enduring.
Exactly. Now let's get on started with the World Cup.
Well, the quarterfinals start tomorrow.
All right.
So, we've got four total matches. We got two tomorrow, and then two on Saturday. And the winners of those games go to the semifinals.
Right.
So we've got who we got? That is the big question. We've got Argentina
Okay.
against the Netherlands. I'll take Argentina, but I think that game will be good. I think that game will be close. I mean, the Netherlands can beat Argentina on the right day.
And that's a 2 o'clock
So
game.
I think that game should be very entertaining. And then in the other game on tomorrow, what do we have? We have France and who else?
That's England, France. That's Saturday. That's the Saturday
Oh,
game.
that's Saturday. That's right. We'll get to that game in a minute. Was that Brazil tomorrow?
Croatia and Brazil. That's a 10 o'clock game.
Yeah, Brazil should win that game tomorrow.
They're actually favored that game. They're actually favored, and Argentina favored.
Brazil should win. I mean, if they play like they've been capable of, they should be able to win that game. It should be an Argentina-Brazil semifinal. That's what it should be. Let's go to the other half of the bracket. We've got France and England. England's going to have to play at their best to win this game tomorrow. And I mean at their best. Because if England plays like they did against the United States, they're going to get destroyed. If they play like they did in the UEFA Nations League, they're going to get destroyed by France. And you got to remember, France doesn't have Conte, Pogba, Benzema, Varane. They're without four starters, and they're still doing work out there.
Surprisingly.
So, England's got to come with it. If England plays lackadaisical, they're going to lose. They got to just say, screw it, and just go for the gusto tomorrow. Play with some heart. Play with some fire. Mix things up. Do things a little differently. Because if they don't, it's going to be a train wreck. Absolute train wreck. And then we got the other quarterfinal, Morocco, who got through Spain. Hey, let me say this about Morocco. It's nice that you got there, but you really didn't do much in that game against Spain. You're kind of lucky that some of those balls that hit the post did not go in. Okay? Spain pretty much controlled that game. Just Spain can't do penalty kicks worth a damn. And that's been known for about the last 4 years. So, dating back to World Cup 18, Euro 20, and now this. So, you got Morocco and you got Portugal, which, hey, they put up 6 goals against Switzerland. I mean, that's pretty damn impressive considering, going into that game, I mean, I could have easily thought Switzerland could have beat Portugal. That game was like a toss-up, especially with them benching Ronaldo and them going out there and throwing 6 on Switzerland.
Goodness
That was
gracious.
pretty damn impressive. Maybe they're peaking at the right time. Um, you got to probably favor Portugal in this one. I
They are
think they're
actually
going to look at what happened to Spain and they'll make some adjustments and they'll get through to the semifinals, most likely against France, which would
well,
set
the
up a
interesting
really interesting possible semifinals of two CONMEBOL teams, Argentina and Brazil, versus two European teams in France and Portugal. It could be. I mean, the craziest thing would be a Portugal Argentina final with Messi and Ronaldo. That would be pretty crazy.
yes, it would
But,
be.
anyways, let's get to the next topic at hand here because we all love the World Cup, but, we got a lot of things to talk about tonight. Let's talk about Deion Sanders.
Oh my God, thank you. I'm glad you're talking about it. You don't know how much it's driving me nuts from people calling him
Sean,
a
I'm going to
sellout.
go ahead and let you lead because you seem, I mean, I got my own things to say on this, but you seem pretty passionate.
Yeah. So
So
I was
go for
go
it.
ahead. All right. So as I was doing my research, I was like, as you know, Jackson State is a HBCU because HBCU don't get that recognition like they used to, and they don't usually make money from football. They usually make money from like the bands and stuff. BET, if you guys remember that. So as I done my research when Deion Sanders was like the head coach, I heard he got robbed, including his son, from what I've heard. And then Mississippi, they're like an 18% poverty rate, if I'm not mistaken. They're like one of the top 10 states
And
with the
that area is not exactly thriving with money, Sean. You know, there's not a lot of ballers out there in Jackson, unless you slang and rock, probably.
exactly. So I'm looking at the profile. I'm like, I would I would not stay at Jacksonville State that long. And plus, he's getting paid $300,000. That's like sponsorship money. So I have no problem him going to Colorado. At least they're gonna fill some seats up and stuff. And it's a bigger conference. So I don't know what's the point of even being a sellout. That's what
Oh,
trips me out.
I don't think he's a sellout, and I'm going to tell you why.
Please do. I will.
Have you? Did you watch that 60 Minutes special that he was on about a month and a half, 2 months ago before
Yes. All
before
this.
he ended up taking the Colorado job? Okay,
Yeah.
so that locker room definitely wasn't that nice when he got there. Okay, that practice field was donated by Walmart because of Deion Sanders. It wasn't for Deion. Walmart would have stepped in and redid
Exactly.
the whole locker room and the whole football field. So their practice field is good now. That thing used to
Right.
be like a muddy swamp. Okay? The facilities upgrades. That's not cheap. That's like $5 million. Money that definitely wasn't in the Jackson State budget.
Exactly.
Okay? Because of Deion helping bring some of the popularity, the HBCU got a football TV contract.
Right. That's
And
because
if it
of Deion.
wasn't for Deion, and I'll say Byron Allen a little bit had to do with that too,
Right.
that doesn't happen without those two. Byron Allen's a black media mogul.
Oh, entertainment
He's
studio.
worth like billions. He'll probably own a sports franchise team soon before you
And he
know
also
it.
owns the other channel, by the way, for those who didn't know about that.
Yeah, he's very big in the multimedia spectrum. So between him and Deion, they really showed the light. I don't have a problem with him going to Colorado because he did everything he could.
Good.
And you know what? If they really wanted him, they would have done something, or the Board of Regents or something could have made some type of concession. I know it's Mississippi, but damn, if all the other state schools are getting love, why don't the black schools get love? I know they're poor. That's a poor area, but damn,
And plus,
You
there's no
know,
competition in those HBCUs. Let's be honest.
you know. I mean, I'm not saying like they should be the greatest campus of all time, but damn,
Right.
you know, do something.
Right.
You
Because
know,
they're
the dude was bringing it.
he's bringing more money.
If somebody's bringing everything, but then you ain't going to reciprocate a little bit, and then you're going to start stealing from the pot that's bringing you everything.
Like,
Yeah,
come on.
it's time to go then. If they're dipping from the well when they shouldn't be, from what we've heard, then Deion had every right to dip.
Exactly. Because he wasn't going
So
to last that
I
long
have
anyway.
no problem. I have no problem with him and his son and all those high recruits saying, you know what? We're going to
Cookies and cream.
Colorado. And you know what? That's probably good for some of them because you know what? Now they're going to be matched up against Power Five talent, and you're going to see where they're going to really stack up against other Power Five kids
And
in
I
the
hardly ever
Pac-12.
saw a Jacksonville game. And I hardly ever saw a Jacksonville State game anyway.
I mean, 2 games a year, maybe the Celebration Bowl and maybe something else.
Yeah, I know they're supposed to be in a bowl game or something.
Yeah, it's like in a couple weeks. I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
so I mean, in the end, I don't have any problems with Dion doing what he did. I mean, damn, the man lost a damn couple toes while he was there. My goodness.
Right. And he's getting paid $5 million at Colorado. Anybody would take it. I
I
would.
mean, look at it like this. If he ends up doing something big at Colorado, man.
Because Colorado needs it bad because they have been
Well,
relevant
they
in
do need it bad. They do need it bad. But if Colorado ends up going to the next level and rebounding and Coach Prime gets them out of Crapville because they've been there since at least the Mel Tucker era. Okay,
right. I forgot about Mel Tucker at
don't
Colorado.
forget that Mel Tucker kind of left. When he left Colorado, they were like 5-7, but they were kind of a mess. And the next coach took over a dumpster fire.
Yeah, because this past season they were like one and
So,
11.
like I said, Michigan State fans, beware of the $95 million man because you know what? You were bailed out by Kenneth Walker and the remnants of the D'Antonio era. And I hate to tell you, but it's gonna be some rough sledding, I think, at Michigan State. I think they came in too damn soon with that $95 million contract. I don't know what other suitors were out there for Mel Tucker. And who knows, maybe there were. But he sure as hell wasn't worth 95 million.
Hell no. That was
So
too quick.
so I'm fine with the Dion Bolt.
And it's going to take for years for him to build that program anyway.
Yeah, it's gonna take a little time. I mean him getting a lot of the transfer portal is gonna surely help,
Oh, yeah.
you know. And I'm not saying Colorado's gonna make a bowl game this season,
Nothing
but
like
hey,
that.
2-3 years, I could see them being 8-4
Not
and
bad.
being a steady contender. 8-4, 9-3. He gets them to that level. The big dogs will start calling.
Right.
And if Florida State doesn't get it handled here, that's the next logical step. Is him to leave Colorado and then go to Florida State.
Oh, that'd be so much of a story.
I would not be shocked that if things don't get handled down at Florida State, that he could be the next head coach at Florida State.
Because they've been a dumpster fire since Jimbo Fisher left.
Well, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, they had the big win over LSU to start the season, and then it was kind of mediocre the rest of the year. We'll see what happens at Florida State in like the next year or two. And if Deion can accelerate Colorado and Florida State doesn't really improve, I think that's the next logical move, Sean, is primetime will be back in Tallahassee and it'll be back. Primetime will be back in where it started pretty much. So on that note, let's switch to something we really have not talked about much since the S&P Sports Show started back up in the fall, and that's baseball. I mean, we talked a bit about the World Series and here and there, but we're in free agency season.
Yes, we are.
And Aaron Judge signed a 9-year, $360 million contract. And man, some of these other contracts are crazy. Trey Turner, $300 for 11 years. I guess he turned down a $341 million offer from the Padres. Okay. And it might have equaled out in the end because California taxes are so high, these California teams have to throw the jackpot at people. Okay.
Got it.
Because they tax you to death in California. I mean, they kind of tax you to death in New York, too. So a $360 million deal in New York isn't the same as a $360 million deal in Texas, folks. Let's just go ahead and start that. Sandy Bogarts, $288 million. Jacob deGrom, $187 million over 5 years. Justin Verlander, $86 million for 2 years. Paired back up with Max Scherzer with the Mets. I mean, it's like the Tigers are getting reunited over there almost, you know? I mean,
National League East.
You know, the National League East is not messing around. And neither are the Padres. But right now, I mean, the Phillies are just spending money like it's going out of style. Okay, the Padres have $252 million in payroll. Okay, and they're the 27th largest media market in baseball. They must have some really rich owners to justify having a $252 million payroll for the 27th largest media market in the country. Okay?
Goodness gracious.
I mean, San Diego isn't like, you know, it's almost like Milwaukee. Okay? It's a very small media market, but you got good weather in San Diego all the time, and there's always stuff to do in San Diego.
Not to mention. And SeaWorld. I forgot about SeaWorld.
And you got SeaWorld, you got the ocean, you got Little Italy. There's lots to do in San Diego. It's crazy. And they got a $252 million payroll. They got Fernando Tatis, and I mean, they're going for it. I give them credit. I don't know if they're going to be able to catch the Dodgers. I mean, that Dodgers juggernaut is just great. That the Dodgers, you know, might be hurting a little bit from the Trey Turner departure, but I mean, it was somewhat expected that the Dodgers weren't going to be able to re-sign him because they are already got so much money committed already to places. It's just insane. And that Dodgers team might need to lower their salary demands a little bit for their whole team because that team's getting to age a little bit. Clayton Kershaw's getting up there in years. Justin Turner, Jansen, you know, some of those bigger pieces are beginning to age a little bit. Have the Dodgers had their run? I don't know.
Right.
They have a very strong pitching core. Very strong pitching core. And that's what's gotten them through for like the last 6-7 years. And then, you know, they always spend the money on the bats and that. I mean, they got such a deep farm system too. So, I mean, I kind of think you've seen the flurry of big spending now, and now I think we're almost here at a point now in free agency where teams are going to start slow tracking it, and that's going to hurt some players. The guys that are like in that $15 million range. I'll tell you one player that probably shouldn't have opted out,
Who was that?
but he did, and I think he's going to pay the price, is Carlos Correa. He signed that 3-year, $100 million contract with the Twins last year. He played one season, and then he opted out. I hate to say it, that was probably a bad move.
Like, in other
Because
words, he was going to regret it.
I don't see a team paying him $30 million or $33 million. The man only had 62 runs batted in last year. I mean, he didn't exactly light it up last year. He wasn't the normal Carlos Correa. And he's kind of around that 28, 29 range.
Got it.
Okay. Teams, he probably wants some very long-term deal. And I hate to say it, you're not getting Xander Bogaerts money, bro. It ain't happening. You ain't Xander Bogaerts. You might be worth 15, maybe 20, and I might be generous. But you ain't the player you were 3 years ago. Okay? And he's going to regret opting out of that deal. I don't know where he's going to end up. But I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this. Get your kids to be baseball players, because man, if they can get to that level, they get paid bank. Bank. Screw football. Go baseball.
Right.
At least you can get hurt with arm injuries and stuff, but that or the NBA, probably the two best sports on your body, or soccer.
Right.
Well, so
sponsorship money as well.
Yep, exactly. So I mean, these free agency signings are interesting.
I was going to get that until you said that. I think free agency for like baseball is like one of the most best stories you can think of.
In
my opinion,
I was kind of hoping that the Giants would throw a wrench into things and sign Aaron Judge, but let me say this: the Yankees are committed to paying over $1 billion, $1 billion, okay, to Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, and Garrett Cole.
Oh my goodness.
Also, by signing Aaron Judge, they more or less added like another $40 million in luxury tax per year.
That's the Yankees for you.
So it's more like an $80 million contract because of it. They couldn't let Aaron Judge go because, man, if they let him go, I don't even know if the Yankees are a playoff team. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The Yankees probably would not be a playoff team without Aaron Judge. So what were the Yankees going to do? They had to pretty much cave to all the demands that had to be done. So, people are wandering and looking at things, and we need to think the Yankees need to do some serious soul searching, and they got to start developing some pieces and develop them within their farm system, because if you can't develop in the farm system, then you got to spend. And I can't remember the last seriously homegrown star besides Aaron Judge from the
Yankees. They always sign.
Seriously, who was the last player the Yankees have seriously developed
I can't
that's
think of it.
on
And
their
that's it.
team that's become a star? That
Can't
is
think of
not Aaron Judge. Can you name them?
I can't.
You can't. Exactly.
Can't.
You cannot do it. That is a reflection on the New York Yankees development and farm system.
And they're not good at doing that. Everybody else does that, but not the Yankees for some odd reason.
You know, it just doesn't. The Yankees gotta improve in this area. So now let's talk a little bit about the transfer portal.
Oh yes, there's a lot of players being transfer portal.
Let me go ahead and say this, man. Like over 1,000 players have already been entered into the portal. So what does that tell me? It tells me that some schools are going to get upgrades, some are going to get downgrades, and some of these players are going to be holding will play football for food signs because some of these dudes may not end up back at a program.
Ever
Be
again.
careful what you wished for. Hey, it's all good to put yourself in the portal, but man, some of these dudes that like at the bottom rung, you better hope somebody's wanting you. Because if you put your name in there and it ain't good,
Bye-bye.
that might be it. You might be done so. And then that other program might not want you back because you were in the portal.
Right.
You know,
They will find out one way or the other.
now let me go ahead and say this. Ohio State and Wisconsin will probably get their new quarterbacks next season through the portal. Because with Luke Fickell coming to Wisconsin and bringing that pro style system, okay, they're going to need a quarterback that plays in that kind of system. And so they're going to need somebody like the kid from Notre Dame that transferred. Ohio State needs a quarterback with CJ Stroud bolting. Do they have somebody behind Stroud that's ready to play? I'm not sure. They may have to take a stab at the kid from North Carolina or North Carolina State, or even the guy from Clemson who got benched during the ACC title game. They're going to need to do something, at least until the Donovan Raiola era starts, because they're in a conundrum in Columbus because everybody knows that this top-ranked quarterback, Donovan Raiola, is probably going to be the starter in 2024. So Ohio State needs to fill a void next year. Who is that void guy going to be? That is the question. I couldn't tell you. Plus, you're probably going to have two guys probably going to the draft. Marvin Harrison Jr. will be back next year.
Oh yeah, they need him definitely.
But the rest of that receiving core, besides Jackson and Bagba, a lot of those guys are going to the draft. So they're going to lose some senior laden talent at wide receiver.
Oh, and they're going to be young as heck anyway.
They're going to be very young offensively next year. That defense, though, the defensive line should be very senior laden. But as we saw against Michigan, the safeties aren't strong, and the corner play hasn't been necessarily strong at Ohio State.
And that's why I say it's very questionable.
So you can always have all the stars in the world associated with your name. But when you're on the field, guess what? Those stars do not matter. Alabama's got like 9 kids in the portal who were like former 4 and 5 stars.
Ouch.
So, like I said, there's a rumor that one of Ohio State's running backs is going to probably go to Tennessee for NIL money. I mean, NIL is changing a lot of the complexion.
That's why I'm not surprised there's a lot of people transferring since the NIL came in effect.
So, I mean, it's crazy with what's just going on in the portal right now. So, even my assistant thinks that the NIL right now is a little bit crazy right now.
I'm looking at him right now. Oh, he got the eyes right now.
See,
Well,
we
don't
have
be
the
surprised
assistant there. She thinks the NIL is a little bit crazy right now. I mean, it's not as attractive as her in some cases, and sometimes it can be as attractive as her. It all depends upon your situation and how talented you are and what suitors you want. And so look at Texas A&M, okay, with NIL. They threw all of that money at these kids, and they had the alleged greatest recruiting class in history. Dude, they got like 21 kids in the portal. 21, which is ridiculous. That shows you that it was just about the money, and you have some culture issues within your program.
21. That's pretty bad. That's the highest I've ever heard.
21. So those kids are basically just going there for a paycheck, and when the crap hit the fan, they were like, I don't know if I want to do with this. We're going to be 4-8 in the SEC. Well, I'm better than this. I know the money's good and all, but damn, I can go get the money somewhere else too.
Right.
So, I mean, I think, in that situation, I think some of these kids, realize that if you want to get paid, but sometimes getting paid in the right situation is more important than just taking the biggest paycheck.
Exactly.
I mean, sometimes there are extenuating circumstances. If you have like somebody who's got some serious medical issues, I can understand that. But more often than not, you want to go to a school where you're going to get the best of everything, the education, the NII, and the development. And some schools just can't do what other schools can in development.
Right.
Look at Michigan. They have the highest recruiting classes, but you know what they do? They're excellent at developing kids. Excellent. Imagine if Michigan was able to throw NIL money at kids like Ohio State and the rest of these schools. Could you imagine it?
I'd be pissed off.
Could you imagine if Harbaugh could be slanging money like he's at the strip club? Could you imagine that? Throwing 20s and 100s at kids, making it rain. Could you imagine? Man, if he could be SEC like and Ohio State like with that money, man.
Oh my God.
It would be damn scary.
Yes, it would.
Very, very scary. So I think the portal and NIL, it's a little tricky. You got to know how to navigate it. Okay. I want to talk a little NBA here. And I want to talk about one player in particular because in his last 10 games, he has come back into the light. But for how long will this light shine upon thee? I'm talking about Anthony Davis. Because the man has just played like a beast the last 10 games for the Lakers. Has it been a change in philosophy and just let AD become the man? Everybody's jumping back on the Anthony Davis train. And you know what? Cool. I'm happy for him. I'm happy that the Brow was putting up numbers. But
you may want to be careful with that when you jump.
Well, let me say this. All these people are singing the praises and everything else. I'm waiting for that moment where Glass Davis shows up, and he's going to be out for 6 weeks here and 2 weeks there and 4 weeks, Can this man stay through a full season? Hey,
He never played
give me 70 games. You give me 70 games, you might make the playoffs if you're playing like that, and you might do something in the playoffs. Might.
Right.
If you're playing like you have been. I don't know if he can keep that up. I don't know what the wear and tear will be on his body because he's so fragile. You know?
And he keeps getting
Hey,
injured.
don't get me wrong, the man is talented. And, the Lakers are kicking some tail right now, but let's not say that they're back and they're got a title run and it's the new Lakers. You know what? Stay healthy, brother. Stay healthy. Prove that you ain't going to end up riding the pine for 20 games again. There's a reason why they call you street clothes. And Glass Davis, maybe it finally got to you and you've manned up. I don't know. Something's lit a fire under that man.
Right.
Okay, and I don't know if it's the street clothes and the glass talk, because I'm not going to lie. You know what? You know me. I have definitely been one that has called him street clothes and Glass Davis. And I am not going to lie. I have definitely said it. If you went on my Facebook, if you went on my Facebook, you would definitely see it.
I've seen it before myself.
Well, it's good. I'm glad that you've seen it on my Facebook page. I'm not going to lie about it. It's out there.
You're the first one to ever see Glass Davis.
But let me say this, okay? He's probably got as good of a chance as going on the injured list again this season as my dog does of running up on the table and eating some food off the kitchen table and running off.
Correct. There he is. And right now they are 10-14, or 4 games under 500, so it's still early. So I don't know who they're going to trade in the offseason. Oh, you're wait, hold on a sec. You're muted.
There we go. Since Anthony Davis has decided to play ball again, their record is over 500. Question is how long is this going to last? And how long is he going to be healthy till he's back on the bench in street clothes?
Right. So that's why it's like pump the brakes right there, because we're not even in the second half of the season yet.
Sure. Yep, exactly. Not even in the second half of the season. You know what? Prove to me that you can get through the first half.
Right. That'd be terrific.
And then maybe the Lakers turn things around and maybe you might convince them to do something for a run. Because, if the Lakers can somehow turn it around and they show some marketable improvement, maybe they make a trade at the deadline of something to get an outside shooter or something.
They really need some draft picks. They really need some draft picks.
Well, they don't ever. You know what? They gave up all those picks. Remember that? That's how they got Davis and LeBron, and they traded draft picks for other pieces and Russell Westbrook. That's why they don't have first-round picks till 2027.
That's a suicide right there.
And anybody who wants to take that $47 million from Russ,
good luck with that.
They're going to probably ask for those first-round picks because maybe at the halfway point that money's only $23 million. So that's like giving up a decent player for Russ, and then but some team's gonna trade for Russ before the deadline, I think, because they're gonna get those cap savings and they're going to get something else from the Lakers, and the Lakers will get some talent that they could use at least for this season to be able to shoot outside. And they may not get a superstar in return for Russ, but they might be able to get some capable three-point shooters and a defender or two.
Because I don't know who's the three-pointers for the Lakers, to be honest with you.
But those are the things that the Lakers need: outside shooting and some defense.
Yeah.
They don't technically need another superstar, but if you can get some outside shooting and some defense, they're more than capable of making a run and getting into the playoffs and probably destroying somebody's season. I'm not going to say that they're going to make a run to the title, but, I just wanted to touch on the NBA and the Lakers a little bit because they're the team that's always talked about. I'm not even a Lakers fan, but I just felt, we really haven't touched on the NBA much this season,
the Western Conference,
and we'll probably touch on that more as we're getting into the show now. Now that football, more time is now going to be available in that. So let's get to football, the National Football League. Okay, big news over the weekend. Jimmy G out for the rest of the regular season. Mr. Irrelevant at quarterback. It looks like he's going to be the starter.
Right.
I mean, hey, the Niners might have found something in this kid. I mean, the way he played, 200 and something yards, that was pretty impressive. That was impressive. And he looked pretty good out there. So let's see what Brock Purdy has to bring. And maybe the 49ers might have found something here. And maybe their future isn't Trey Lance. Maybe their future is Brock Purdy.
Right. We would have thought.
How crazy would that be?
That'd be super crazy.
If Mr. Irrelevant ends up being the future star quarterback of the 49ers and Trey Lance becomes a bust. Because he's kind of like he's like an underdeveloped Justin Fields, I feel. And it's sad, but it is what it is. I think we've learned our lesson about North Dakota State quarterbacks here, folks. It's almost like Ohio State quarterbacks. You will learn. Now,
they're not all that.
Let me say this, okay?
Sure.
That the AFC East, very talented.
Yes, it is.
I mean, New England, if they were in the right division, they'd probably have a winning record right now. In the right division. The Bengals, they can't beat the Browns, but they can surely beat the Chiefs.
Yep.
The Bills are the Bills. The Dolphins are getting things handled. The Jets, under Mike White, seem to be playing the ball that they want to.
They're playing a lot better.
I don't know if Zach Wilson will ever reclaim the starting quarterback position for the Jets. They may have already given up on him. And I'm saying that. I'm saying that they may just move on. It's crazy. I saw that the Rams picked up Baker Mayfield, but they need a quarterback because Stafford's done for the year. This other quarterback's hurt. It only cost the Rams $1.3 million, so it's not a huge hit. It's not like they have a first-round draft pick anyways to play for. So we just need to hope that Baker Mayfield just continues to play like trash here the next 4 or 5 games.
Right.
And that the Rams keep losing for the Lions' sake.
I don't even think Baker Mayfield even that special anyway.
Well, he's not. I guess you could say this is a 5-game audition for next season.
Because if he don't get this right, I don't think he'll ever play in the NFL ever again, in my opinion.
Oh, he'll play. I just don't know if he'll be a starter. He'll be a backup. I just don't see him being a starter in the league.
Especially if you can't perform third downs. I'm like, my goodness, man.
I mean, it seems like the NFC right now, it seems pretty legit for the 7 teams that are probably going to make the playoffs.
Right.
Being you could have all 4 teams from the NFC East make the playoffs possibly.
And then like 2 in the NFC West.
2 from the NFC West.
But both of those teams are fighting for the who wins the
Well,
division.
actually, you're going to have 3 teams. Sorry, 3 teams from the NFC East.
Okay.
2 from the West. One from the South, and then 1 from the North. I wouldn't discount the Packers either, because they can go 9-8 and still make the playoffs. Yeah. Their schedule is actually very favorable the rest of the way. They've got the Rams this week. Okay. Then they've got the Dolphins on Christmas Day in Florida. They can win that. If they win that game, their last 2 games are at home.
That's
against the Vikings on January 1st, where it's probably going to be cold as hell out there. And then the Lions on January 8th in Green Bay.
That's the easy W for there.
So if the Packers can get through the next 2 weeks, they should be able to handle the Rams. That big game, the big question is that Miami game. They get through the Miami game, then what they got to hope for is some things to fall in their favor, okay? Like, it kind of hurt them that both that the Commanders and the Giants both got a tie the other night.
I hated that tie.
So
stupid.
The thing is that the Giants and the Commanders both have the head-to-head tiebreaker against the Packers.
That's right.
So all those teams need is a combination. All the Cowboys need is to win a game or the Packers to lose a game. Okay.
Okay.
For the Commanders and for the Giants, they need any combination of 2. Means a Packers loss and a win by them. So if the Packers lose a game, they win a game, then they don't got to worry about the Packers anymore. Any combination of 2 would eliminate the Packers against those teams. Pretty much, it would eliminate them from the playoffs.
Correct.
I'm not even including Seattle in this mix because I think Seattle's going to get in.
Whether they're a wild card, whether they win the division or not.
Exactly. They'll probably get in. So,
and that's one of the surprising teams I have so far this season, the Seahawks.
The thing is that the Packers are on a bye week this week. So, if the Commanders and Giants both win this week, then it's probably a wrap for the Packers. Because the Packers then would have to win out, and the Commanders and the Giants would have to lose out.
Speaking of that, I know the Eagles and the Giants are supposed to play this week.
Yeah, actually, I think they play each other twice before the end of the season.
Yeah, they do. I'm trying to see which game. Where's it at? I think it's at New Jersey. Let me see. Let me look it up. I want to say it's the first game is at Jersey. Let me see. I want to say
and the Meadowlands.
Yep, it is in Jersey. So the first game is in Jersey, then the last one is in Philadelphia.
Well, by that point, the Eagles might not have anything to play for.
Right, for that last one.
They might have home field locked up by then.
Because the only team you got to
Maybe.
worry about is Minnesota for the home field
Well,
advantage.
they just need another Minnesota loss, pretty much. I mean, will Minnesota lose another game? I don't know. I mean, if they were going to lose a game, I mean, the Vikings got to play some road games here coming up. Okay, like they got to play at Green Bay. They got to play at Detroit this week. Then they got to play at Green Bay later in the season. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, I don't even. They may have to go to Chicago. I can't remember.
I can check that right now.
So they might have some road games coming up. But I know they got
Uh,
to go to Green Bay on the 1st of January and probably freeze their heinies off.
all right, I got the schedule by the way. Oh, let me more games. So we know they're playing the so the Vikings are playing the Lions. We get that. So they have so the Vikings and Lions, then they play the Colts, then they play the Giants, then they play go to Green Bay, then they have to go to Chicago.
So they got 3 games in the division, all on the road. They're not going to win all 3 of those games. If I was the guest, they're going to probably lose that game at Green Bay. Like I said, if the Packers beat the Rams and somehow they can pull off a win in Miami, they could be the 7th seed at 9-8, but they need a lot of things to fall their way. Okay, they
Right.
need, like I said, any combination of 2 pretty much eliminates them from the playoffs. Any combination of 2 wins or 2 losses, or a win or a win by another team and a loss by them would eliminate them. The only one I don't think that it would affect them with completely would be Seattle,
Right.
because they haven't played head to head. So, and I don't know who has the better interconference record. That I could not tell you. So,
Between what?
with tiebreakers that when you
Okay.
don't play head to head.
Okay, like in the standings.
Exactly.
I can't. Well, they don't have that information right now, but maybe like when we go on the show the next time.
Well, I would, right now it's not completely relevant. We got to see how the schedule plays itself out. But
And plus the flex of the games as well. Like they already flexed up for next week for the Sunday night football game. Is
oh,
Washington and New York.
Washington and the Giants play each other again.
It's been flexed.
Man, that doesn't bode well for the Packers, because one of those teams gets a win. That's not good. I mean, you could be looking at the end of the Packers season next week, hypothetically. If both of those teams win this week somehow,
The Packers are in trouble.
the Packers would be pretty much eliminated after next week. Yes. Because one of those teams would then have, the worst that team could do is 9-7-1. The best the Packers could do is 9-8. So if the Giants and Commanders both win this week, the Packers are done. They're done. Because that'll be 3 teams from the NFC East. Okay. Then you're going to have the division winners in the other 3, and I don't think Seattle's going to trick down the stretch. Okay, especially with as horrible as, I think they got to play the Rams again, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, just look at that schedule.
I don't know what's the Seattle schedule like, because
That's what I'm looking at right now. So right now they're playing the Panthers. So it's at Seattle, the Panthers. Then they have to play the 49ers on Thursday night football. Then they have to play the Chiefs on Christmas Eve on the 24th. Look at it right now.
Okay, so they beat the Panthers. Okay, that'll take them to 8 wins. What else?
Look at it right now. All right, so they have the Panthers, I said. They have the 49ers. The game's at Seattle when they face the 49ers.
Ooh,
That's a Thursday night football game.
an actual Thursday night game that means something for a change. Wow. Okay.
Right. The next
One that's
one,
actually going to be worth watching. Interesting.
then after that, they have to go to Kansas City on Christmas Eve.
Okay, let's say a loss in that game. Keep going. What's the last two?
Last two, they're at home. So the one is the Jets on New Year's Day, and then the other one is the Rams. That's the last game they had.
Okay. So they're going to probably get 9 wins. Let's say Seattle gets 9 wins.
Okay.
The Packers are going to have to run the gauntlet. They're going to have to run the gauntlet, and they're going to have to hope that whatever team wins next week when the Commanders and the Packers play, they got to hope basically those two teams somehow trick down the stretch. Because I see Seattle getting the 9 wins, at least 9. What's Seattle at right now? 7-5, or are they 8-5?
7-5.
They got 5 games left. I'd say that Giants game is an iffy. That one could go the other one or two ways. They should be able to beat the Panthers, and they should be able to beat the Rams. So that's 9.
The Jets one is going to be a tough one. That's going to be a tough one.
What's the Giant? Real quick, what's the Giants and what's the Giants' schedule left, and what's the Commanders?
The Giants, I'm looking at it right now. Oh, thank God I got this tablet. Giants is, as I did say, they're playing Philly. Then they play the Commanders on Sunday Night Football next week on the 18th. Well, let me go to more games. Excuse me for my tablet. My tablet sometimes not fast enough. So okay, there we go. So they have the Eagles, the Commanders, the Vikings. Then they got to play the Colts, and then the last game is at Philly. That's the Giants.
Okay, so how many games can they win out of that?
So let me see. One, two, probably 4. I can see 4.
The Giants will probably get it. What about the Commanders? What's their schedule here?
All right, for Washington. I hate the name anyway.
It's a stupid name.
Right. So, as I did say, they're going to play the Giants, and then after that, they play the 49ers on Christmas Eve.
Okay, that's a loss. Keep going.
All right. So, after the 49ers game, they play the Browns on New Year's Day. That's a win.
That's an ugly game. That could go one way or the other.
And then
You don't know which Browns. You don't know which Browns team is there. What's the other couple games?
And then the last game is the Cowboys. The game's at Washington this time.
That game could be for their playoff lives.
That's like a must win for them.
That game will probably be a must win to make the playoffs, I think.
Depends on what the situation looks like.
Yeah, I think that's a must win situation, I think. So,
and plus I forgot the Browns got Deshaun Watson back, so that's why I heard you say.
So I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens and how good the Browns can play here down the stretch. I don't know if the Browns are out of it in the playoffs. I mean,
no, not that I'm aware of.
I mean, they got some talent on that team. I just don't. Browns got some talent. It's that defense that's trash.
Oh yeah. If it wasn't for Deshaun Watson being suspended, they still would be 500, in my opinion.
I mean, they got a good offense. They got to figure out some things on that defense because that defense is just straight trash.
Right. And right
All
now,
right. We've hit the
they're
7
two games
o'clock
under
hour.
500 barely. They're 2 games under 500 barely.
Miracles do happen.
And they're tied with the Steelers for some odd reason.
Well, the AFC North isn't all that good. Just think, they didn't blow that game against the Jets late. They'd be 500 right now.
Exactly. All right. Real quick, let's do the SuperDraft Sportsbook player props. And these games are Sunday, so just let you guys know about that. All right. So, first one, we have Cleveland Browns running back Nick Chubb with 78.5 rushing yards as they're playing against the Cincinnati Bengals.
I'll take the over.
All right. Geno Smith, 253.5 passing yards.
I'll take the over.
All right. Tyreek Hill, 97.5 rushing yards. I can see that definitely as an over on this one.
97.5 receiving yards.
I mean, rushing yards. Excuse me. Rushing yards.
Rushing or receiving for Tyreek?
Rushing.
I don't think Tyreek Hill's going to get 97.5 rushing yards.
It's receiving. My bad. It's receiving. I messed
Yeah.
up.
Okay.
It's receiving.
Yeah. I'll take the over, Sean, now that we've clarified it.
Sorry, so I had to clarify that. And then Jacoby Myers, 49.5 receiving yards.
Who do they play? Who do the Patriots play this week?
That's a very great question. They play. Oh my God, who they play? I'm looking at it right now.
Because I'll be honest with you, at least up till that one, I'd probably take the over on all of those.
They play Cardinals. It's at Arizona.
I'll take the over just because you know how I feel about the Cardinals.
Especially with the way Kyler Murray.
So I will take the over on all of them.
Because especially with Nick Chubb and Geno Smith, and well, we know Tyreek Hill, of course, but
yeah,
Geno Smith should have like 300 yards against that Panthers defense.
Yeah. Oh, well, the Panthers defense actually has played pretty well this season. It's not their defense that's the issue in Carolina. Okay? They got actually a good defense. It's their offense, mainly their passing game. Their offensive pass blocking and their receiving, it's trash. And they have no quarterback.
Moore sometimes. DJ Moore be dropping the easiest passes.
Should have traded them when they had the chance. That's what I say.
That's why I never had him in my fantasy league. I only had him once in my league.
They should have traded him when they had the chance and got a first rounder. That's what they should have done. I think they dropped the gauntlet on that one.
And you can also log into superdraftpro.com/sportsforamerica to create an account and choose your package. And make sure you download the SuperDraft app on the
SuperDraft
on the Google Play and on the Apple device as well. Same thing as the Sportsbook. All right. So that is it. So enjoy your Thursday night football. And I know
enjoy. Sean, did you just say enjoy your Thursday night football?
Yes, I did. Because it's fantasy football, because I have Devontae Adams. That's why I said that.
Besides Devontae Adams or Josh Jacobs, if he's playing. Other than that, there's really not a whole lot to gloat about in fantasy with that Thursday night game. That's a lot of suffering.
And not even Van Jefferson, because they got him as 3 receptions. That's a risk.
That game tonight's going to be a lot of suffering. But we need the Raiders to win tonight for the Lions' sake. So,
right. And Derek Carr should not throw an interception in this game. He should.
I'll disagree. I'll say that he does throw a pick.
Really?
Yep.
Gotcha.
He'll throw at least one. He's good for one.
Well, and plus the Raiders are favored by 6.5.
That's why they'll probably end up losing.
Oh, God. I'll be pissed off if they lose. And I actually got the Raiders 6.5. I'll be pissed off.
That's why I said suffering, Sean, suffering.
All right, we'll see you guys later. So
All
take
right,
care.
we'll see everybody on Tuesday. Oof.
Yeah, if the Raiders lose, I swear my
Dude, that'll really mess up that top pick for the Lions.
for real.
Crazy that we could get a top 5 pick